You think you are burned out, but what if you are misaligned? Those two feel similar, but they are not the same. And misdiagnosing them can cost you years. Because if you treat misalignment like burnout, you will keep resting from something that actually requires recalibration. Let's get precise. Burnout is depletion. Misalignment is disconnection. Burnout says, I have nothing left. Misalignment says, this no longer feels like me. They overlap emotionally: fatigue, frustration, low energy, but their roots are different. And roots matter. Let me describe a familiar scenario. You take leave, you unplug, you sleep, you reduce meetings, you promise yourself better boundaries, and physically, you feel slightly better. But the moment you re-enter the role, the heaviness returns. Not because you did not rest enough, but because the structure you are returning to no longer fit who you are becoming. That is not burnout. That is identity performance misalignment. Now, here is why this distinction is dangerous for high achieving corporate women. You are strong. You are capable. You can function through almost everything. So when something feels wrong, you assume it must be exhaustion. You tell yourself, I need better time management. I need to delegate more. I need a holiday. And while those may help temporarily, they do not address internal conflict. Let's break this down clearly. Here is what burnout typically looks like. You are overextended across too many responsibilities. You are operating without recovery cycles. Your nervous system is in chronic stress. But, and this is key, the work itself still feels meaningful. If capacity were restored, you would re-engage. Now, contrast that with misalignment. Misalignment looks like this. You are capable, but uninspired. You are respected, but disconnected. You are succeeding, but internally questioning. And here is the difference that matters the most. If you removed exhaustion from the equation, would you still choose this path? Burnout says yes. Misalignment says no. Let that sit. Burnout improves when pressure reduces. Misalignment persists even when pressure reduces. Burnout is about energy. Misalignment is about identity. Now, let's go deeper. High achieving women often build careers based on competence, responsibility, reliability, external validation. But over time, your identity matures, your values refine, your tolerance for misfit decreases. And if your career structure does not evolve with you, you begin performing a version of yourself that no longer fits. That internal split is exhausting. It feels like burnout, but it's actually friction. Imagine driving with the handbrake slightly lifted. The car still moves, but it strains. That strain is misalignment. Now, here is where many women make a costly mistake. They interpret misalignment as proof that they must escape. So they swing to the other extreme. I need to resign. I need a complete reinvention. I need to burn it all down. But here's the truth. Reinvention is sometimes avoidance. Realignment is investigation. And investigation requires emotional honesty. Ask yourself, am I tired of working or tired of who I have to be to work here? Am I exhausted from effort or from suppression? Am I drained because the workload is unsustainable or because the identity I am operating from is outdated? These are different problems, and different problems require different solutions. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine wearing a blazer that once fit you perfectly, structured, sharp, aligned with who you are. Now your shoulders have broadened. Your posture has changed, but you're still wearing the same blazer. It's not torn. It is not defective. It is just tight. That tightness does not mean you hate blazers. It means you have grown. Misalignment is often growth without structural update. Now, here is the empowering part. Neither burnout nor misalignment means you are weak, but only one of them requires identity recalibration. And this is why my work does not start with resumes. It starts with identity, because you cannot transition strategically if you have misdiagnosed the root. Through the RTS method, realign, transition, and sustain, we do not start with movement. We start with clarity. Realign who you are becoming, what no longer fits, what is friction versus what is fatigue. Transition, what strategic move protects your income, your credibility, and your reputation. Sustain, what systems prevent you from repeating the same misaligned pattern in a new environment. Because success that costs your identity is not sustainable success. Let's recap clearly. Burnout is depletion from overextension. Misalignment is disconnection from identity drift. Burnout needs recovery. Misalignment needs recalibration. If you are a high-achieving corporate woman who can still perform, can still deliver, but quietly knows something no longer fits, you may not be burned out. You may be evolving, and evolution requires structure, not panic. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about something many women do not say out loud. When your promotion becomes your prison, because sometimes what looks like advancement externally feels like entrapment internally. And we need to unpack that carefully. You are not fragile. You are not failing. You are not ungrateful. You are gathering data. And data, when interpreted correctly, becomes direction. I'll see you on the next one.